Hi guys, Robert here again from one of the team at Irish Whiskey Auctions. Today, on today's video, we are going to talk about bottles that we feel don't really get enough love. Now, you notice there's a lot of Midleton products on the table, and there's obvious reasons for that. They've been around essentially the entire time. So I don't know really where we're going to start here because I got too much to choose from on my table today. But look, let's start over here for example. So the reason why we're doing some of this stuff today is most of these bottles we've always felt are underappreciated for what they represent. And they're a little bit of maybe a catch if you want to add something special to the collection, because most of these bottles are quite limited in their production. I think this one here is only 400 bottles. This one here we'll talk about in a minute is only 2,800 bottles, give or take. Some of these are quite rare. So this one here is it's a 25-year-old pure pot still from the Midleton distillery. There's 3 different versions of this sort of bottle. There's a 25-year-old, there's a 26-year-old, which I believe is the finished in a port pipe cask, and then there's a 30-year-old which we have over here. These were all released around about 2000, 2001. So these have been around on the market for 23, 24 years now. So they're old bottles. Most of them would have come, the whiskey inside them would have come from the very first sort of barrels to be filled in New Midleton Distillery, which is a distillery we all know today, and a lot of them would have also come from the old Midleton Distillery. So there's quite old spirits in these bottles. They retailed, I believe, a couple of £100 back in the day. I think there was a version that was 1,000 bottles, and I think these are somewhere at about 400 bottles released. So again, quite rare. We do see them come up in auction probably every 2 or 3 months. There is a 26-year-old as well. Don't see them every month, but when they do come up, they tend to do fairly well. The 25-year-old, you're probably looking to pay anywhere from 1,800 to 2,300, which again, for a 25-year-old Midleton, that's actually quite cheap. You know, if you would look at buying a new 25-year-old Midleton these days, it'll probably run you a lot of money. The 30-year-old over there, in the middle of COVID, that was hitting mid sort of 4,000s, so it was going for good money. Next we have this one. This one here, it's what I like to call the baby pearl. So this is the 20th anniversary of the new distillery in Midleton. This is probably one of my favourite whiskies, just on looks alone. I haven't had a sample of it yet, but one day I will. I love these things. Like the build quality in this, like it's like a massive heavy wooden box. It's got a scroll with it. It's got gold crystal glasses with it. Even a bottle is fantastic looking. To me, these are so undervalued, you know. This currently will set you back about €8,000 if you're lucky enough to get it direct from the distillery. They do have a couple left in storage, and I think they're charging about €8,000 right now. You could pick one of these up at auction right now for about 5,000. So again, great money. What I will say about these is that I expect the likes of these to increase in value in the future. You've got the 20th, you've got the 30th, which is also the Pearl, as we know, and now we've just had the 40th Ruby edition released, which is a retail price of €20,000. This is only 400 bottles. If you buy it at retail right now, if you're lucky enough to find it, it's 8,000. You buy it through auction, probably looking at about 5,000. I suspect something like this will continue to appreciate in value. This is an absolute bargain when you compare it to 40th edition, which is 4 times the price of it right now, essentially. So again, I think that's a steal right now. If they do come up with an auction and you're looking for something a little bit different and a little bit special, that's one for sure. 1973. This came out, I believe, 2003, 2004 maybe. This was a little later than these ones. You can tell because it's got a very, very sort of modern box to it. This box here has aged extremely well. These look old, whereas this one, you know, it might have came out a couple of years ago. You'd be surprised how old this, or how long these have been around for. The design of this is fantastic. I actually love this. We were actually lucky enough to meet the person a few weeks back that did all the bottle numbers on the bottles, and she told us a few funny stories about the development of it. So again, a very interesting bottle. I think it's cheap for what it currently goes for at auction. Over here we have our first non-Midleton product. It is cask number 2 from Dingle. So again, it is barrel number 2 from the Dingle distillery. Dingle is the first or second new age distillery in Ireland today. I believe Pierce Lines was slightly before them, but Dingle have been around quite a long time now in terms of new distilleries, and they're doing great things. They've got some fantastic products, as people know already. This here, I think, represents a bit of their history, and again, it's something nice to put on display. It'll probably continue to appreciate slowly over time as well, as Dingle gets bigger and better and well known globally. I think that's a great buy if you can get one. Again, we don't have them that often, so when they do come up, keep an eye on them. And last but not least is this, and this is a bit of a wild card. This is Cooley. This is a Cooley distillate essentially. This I don't think we would be allowed to see today. If we wanted to reinvent this, we wouldn't be allowed to do it. So essentially what this is this was a bunch of Cooley barrels that they buried in a beach on Inish, Turk, and they buried them in ex-poaching barrels. So they're not bourbon or traditional sort of sherry or anything like that. Ex-poaching barrels. They buried them at the beach essentially on Inish, Turk, there was 2,888 bottles of this. I think we've only ever sold about 20, maybe 25 of these have come up for auction over the years. So again, quite rare. I think it's undervalued. You're probably paying about €600-700 for this right now. It's got a funny, fascinating story with it. Apparently, some of the glass from the beach was also used to make the glass bottles. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've read online. It's quirky, it's cool, it's got a lot of history to it. It's a good conversation piece. I think something like that, in years to come, will be worth a bit more than what it currently is. I can't see anyone being allowed to put whiskey in ex-poaching barrels today and burying it on a beach somewhere right now. Just with the strictness of the Irish technophile right now, and there's a lot more focus on sort of transparency and everything like that. I don't think we'd get away with that and still be able to call it Irish whiskey in today's terms. So again, that's something from the past that it's not all that old, but it's got a great story to it. So again, that's just a little roundup of some interesting sort of alternative bottles there that we have in the auction, and maybe something that will give you a good return in the future. And that's it. So best of luck in the auction, and any questions, reach out to us on the socials.